Euromaxx highlights. In today's show, bright ideas. French designer Inga Sempé creates award-winning lamps and sofas. Game not over. Computer and video games make it into the museum. German crooner Max Raabe returns with a new album of 20s style songs. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
And welcome to the show from here in the German capital. And that's where we begin with the latest venture of one of Germany's best-known fashion designers, Michalsky. He's a very busy man indeed. He recently unveiled his new collection at the Berlin Fashion Week, but that clearly wasn't enough work for him because he's also found the time to design a new fashion-themed bar for a top Berlin hotel.
Catwalk is the name of the first bar designed by Michalsky. The interior design, the outfits worn by bar staff, and even the drinks were all created by the German fashion designer. For many, the opening party was another highlight, rounding off a busy fashion week in Berlin.
I'm extremely happy with the result. I'm happy that it's all done, and also that the fashion week is over.
The bar is inside Berlin's Marriott Hotel. Everything in the bar revolves around the world of fashion, and anyone who's anyone in the world of fashion was invited for the big opening. Among the attractions, film director chairs bearing the names of famous designers and models. And in Catwalk, it'd be no surprise to actually see the people sitting in their chairs, like ex-supermodel Tatjana Patitz.
It's really very creative. Even the chairs, they're like chairs on movie sets with the names on the back. I think it's great.
He's definitely got it. Proportions, color coordination, elegance. That applies to all fields. If you're a good fashion designer, you can be a good interior designer. It's brilliant.
It's unbelievably stylish, and there's lots of history here too. It's great to see the pictures. They bring back memories. Obviously, memories to do with my line of work. You see colleagues, their photos, and the stories behind them. It's wonderful.
But Catwalk is not just about glitz and glamour. The drinks need to hit the spot too. Bar manager Andreas Berg worked with Michalsky to come up with new cocktail creations. Slim Fit, or the Lookbook, are the new must-haves here. All the cocktails are prepared with fresh ingredients.
The fashion scene needs and loves cocktails like this. They're relatively light and sweet, and they don't give you a hangover.
Work was being done on the bar right up to the last minute. The Marriott Hotel in Berlin has invested more than 3 million euros in the project. When Michalsky viewed the building a week before opening, he was satisfied with the results. The 43-year-old is particularly proud of the fashion photographs. The collection, consisting of around 140 works, is worth more than 100,000 euros.
The most important thing for me was fashion. Fashion trends from the whole of the 20th century, and fashion icons that everyone knows, both models and designers.
Michalsky's love affair with fashion began when he was 12, when he saw a magazine photo story about Karl Lagerfeld.
I'm grateful that I was able to get into the fashion world and to do the things that I dreamed of doing as a kid. This fashion bar, here at the Marriott, is an attempt to open up this world that I live in, of which I'm a part, to others as well.
The bar was ready just in time for the opening. Michalsky had the complete interior produced especially for the bar. He gives it one final inspection shortly before the opening.
Can't we get a chrome-colored fire extinguisher? Oh, too bad. I think bar culture has both a cultural and a social aspect. You meet people from different countries here, from all walks of life. It should be a place where you can just drop in, even if you're alone, and then get talking with other people and get to know them.
Guests at the catwalk feel a bit like they're on a runway themselves. And even the bar staff here are dressed in the Michalsky label.
To Paris, and Inga Sempé is among the most interesting designers working today, and she's just been named Designer of the Month by the prestigious Elle Décoration magazine. We met up with her at the Furniture Fair in the French capital to try and find out a little more about her design philosophy.
Designer Inga Sempé is the star of the Ligne Roset stand at the Paris Design Fair, Maison et Objets. This time round, she's presenting her new bed.
When you present a piece of furniture to the public, you know that it will go into production. And that's very important, because many ideas don't make it that far.
The 43-year-old French designer has been working with the Ligne furniture company since 2006.
Inga Sempé has a very special style, which is completely her own and hard to define. And that's just what we want. We need talented people who can develop objects which have never been seen before in the history of design and whose ideas and personalities are good for us.
Inga Sempé's furniture takes pride of place in Ligne Roset stores. Her sofas have been awarded several design prizes and sell well. The Moelle sofa sells at a starting price of 2,500 euros. It has sold more than 4,000 times over during the past 4 years. Her latest creation, Roset, is hard to miss.
I think this is really something new, and it's much more comfortable than it looks. The leather is magnificent. I'm very impressed.
Sofas are just one of Sempé's specialties. In her Paris office, she develops lots of different objects, including bristle shelves with curtains, sieves and cheese graters with holes shaped like Italy, and collapsible lamps.
I'm easily bored, so I always need to be making something new. I love lamps, but at the moment I don't have any ideas for new lamps.
For many, Inga Sempé is considered the most important French lamp designer. She's made lamps for many well-known manufacturers. Her own choice of lighting, however, is Spartan.
Don't they say that shoemakers wear the worst shoes? The same applies to me. On my bedside table I have a reading lamp made of plastic which I borrowed from my daughter because I didn't have anything to read by at night. Manufacturers are pretty stingy. They rarely hand out the finished products. You really have to fight for them. That's why almost everything here is a prototype.
Like the lamp Vapeur, which is French for steam.
This piece was a commission from a new company. They asked me to design a lamp which was simple to manufacture and which gives off a nice light. I've always been fascinated by pleating, which makes it possible to give structure to very fine materials. And with these ceramic clocks, I was keen not to have classic hands which move, but to integrate them into the clock and only symbolize the rhythm of time.
Some of Inga Sempé's work does inevitably end up in her living room, but she doesn't make much of it.
I have a certain distance to my furniture. I find it really hard to like. Once I have finished a piece, I rather lose interest in it.
Overall, she has more of a professional than emotional relationship to design.
I never talk about design because it doesn't interest me. My friends are all designers, but I never ask them for their opinions because I'm not interested in them. As far as I'm concerned, design means work. And although I enjoy it, it goes hand in hand with pressure because you always need to have new ideas.
At this stage, the designer would really rather create something completely different, and she knows what.
I would like to design pens, ballpoints, felt tips or wooden pens. And windows. I think there's a lot you could do with windows.
Back at the furniture fair, Inga Sempé's bed is attracting attention. Visitors like it, and who knows, maybe one day it will end up in her own bedroom.
Computer games have actually been around for over 50 years, so some of the early ones are already collector's items. Here in Berlin, a new museum has just opened devoted to the history of video and computer games. It's already popular with devotees because you can actually try your hand at some of the originals from the computer Stone Age.
A genuine Pac-Man from 1980. Karate Champ dates back to 1984. Super Mario Bros. Was a hit in 1988. In 1991, Street Fighter was one of the first fighting games. Computer games might not be proper works of art, but they've now been given their own museum.
Computer games are a piece of culture, one of the most interesting cultural phenomena of our times. There have been computer games for as long as there have been computers. They're closely tied to the invention of the computer. For many of us, they're the first contact we have with a technology that's become central. As kids, we all play computer games, so they help define the era and our perception of digital media. They encourage interaction and participation.
Andreas Lange is curator of the Computer Games Museum in Berlin, one of only 10 in the whole world. This one boasts the largest collection of all of them, and it contains a number of surprises, such as this reproduction of the first electronic computer introduced in Germany, complete with the game Nimrod, made by British company Ferranti. It was unveiled at the Berlin Industrial Show in 1951. Then Economics Minister Ludwig Erhard was clearly intrigued.
Computers and games are intertwined from the very beginning, and of course everyone's drawn to the idea of an electronic superbrain as an opponent, the rival you invariably lose to, unless you know the tricks.
Over time, both the games and the players have become smarter. The museum shows how the technology has grown ever more sophisticated.
Computer technology has come a long way. Take the adventure genre, which started out completely text-based. You read it the way you read a book and typed in your input. Then the first graphics were introduced, and eventually it evolved into the 3D world we know today.
The museum encourages interaction and expects to attract some 90,000 visitors in its first year.
I like the way they've charted the historical development of a medium we all like to use in our free time.
As a computer game player, this makes it feel more socially accepted. It shows computer games aren't as bad as they're portrayed. They're part of history.
The exhibition also showcases hardware. Icons of product design include the world's very first console, first launched in 1968. Taking computer games out of the arcades and into the comfort of your own home was made possible by the brown box. It was designed by Berg, who filed a number of patents for video games in the US.
It was the birth of a whole new industry of games for both children and adults. In fact, the industry wasn't originally aimed at kids. If you look at the old commercials, they tend to show adults playing video games while enjoying a glass of wine.
In West Germany, computer games soon went mainstream. Whole TV shows revolved around the new medium, like this one in 1977. But in communist East Germany, video games were state-controlled. The only gaming machine available in the country was Polyplay, and it was only permitted in youth and community centers that towed the party line.
Western computer technology couldn't be supplied to the communist bloc because of trade embargoes. So in the East, they had to design a lot themselves, and were very keen to get kids interested in computers at a young age. Computer games were used to identify talent.
And there's something else about computer games that not a lot of people know.
In a way, the sounds you got in computer games were an early form of digital music. It's closely tied to techno music and the electronic music scene. A lot of movers and shakers in the techno scene grew up with computer games and are very attracted to these sounds.
Computer games have become such a part of modern life and popular culture that they definitely deserve their own museum.
Next stop, the Austrian ski resort of Kitzbühel, home to annual downhill races which take place on one of the toughest ski slopes in the world. Alongside the professional races, there's also a celebrity competition which raises money for charity. This is combined, of course, with the obligatory party.
The legendary beer and sausage party in Kitzbühel goes right through the night. It all started 20 years ago when a local butcher decided to organize a party and serve sausages to skiers who had no luck on the slopes. The party is now a fixed date for Germany's high society.
People from Munich and Sztajnbok like to come here because Austrians and Bavarians have a very similar mentality. They're quite warm and sociable.
German celebrities have long since discovered Kitzbühel. Some of them, including football legend Franz Beckenbauer, even have a second home here.
Oh my, it's one of the most beautiful areas in the world, and I've seen a lot.
I like Kitzbühel. I lived in Munich for years and often came here in my free time.
German celebrities are now an integral part of the scene, along with a friendly German-Austrian rivalry.
I used to say Kitzbühel is a suburb of Munich, but people here don't like that.
You could equally describe Munich as a suburb of Kitzbühel.
If Germans come to Kitzbühel, it's good. Good for business.
Once a year, business is particularly good. In January, the world's best skiers descend on Kitzbühel to test their skill on the legendary Streif, thought to be the world's most difficult downhill ski run. The event draws some 90,000 visitors.
I watched it years ago in Los Angeles with friends, and it's an amazing race, with a tradition known around the world, with legendary greats like Hermann Maier. It's taken on iconic status.
Kitzbühel is to skiing what Monaco is to Formula One. It's the most exciting and dangerous course in the world, and it's a real party at the same time.
But it's not just the pros who get to ski. Celebrities from all over the world take to the legendary Streif themselves in a separate race to raise money for charity.
I could feel the fear running down the inside of my leg. It's great to be part of this, and such a good atmosphere here for the actual main event, and then for this to meet some of the different people.
David Coulthard's compatriot singer Amy Macdonald prefers to watch from the sidelines.
I haven't skied for about 10 years, so I would be too scared to even try and ski out here.
But when it comes to the party in the evening, she's right there. Events range from a gala in a huge marquee right on the Streif to a mega party hosted by the Zurtenna Hotel. Every year there are new celebrities, keen to find out what's behind the legend of Kitzbühel.
I don't know yet. I guess I'll find out this weekend.
Inside the hotel, British musician Jamie Cullum is providing the entertainment. He spontaneously decides to invite another guest onto the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see Miss Amy Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Amy Macdonald.
The two international stars then give a spontaneous duet.
There's so much to enjoy here. I think people originally came here to ski, and everything else has just developed around it. There are loads of bars and great clubs. I think Kitzbühel lives up to its name.
Eva Padberg is not the first German celebrity to fall for the charm of this party haven in the Alps, and she'll doubtless not be the last.
Finally, music in the style of the 1920s. Over the last 25 years, Max Raabe and his Palastorchester have become famous with their tasteful and witty interpretations of 1920s and 30s German songs. And not just here in Germany, they've even filled the Carnegie Hall in New York. Now, Raabe has written a whole album of originals called You Can't Kiss Alone.
Kussen kann man nicht alleine. Max Raabe's first album of self-composed songs. Most of the 12 tracks on the album are about love.
Küssen kann man nicht alleine. Und ich sag dir auch den Grund. Küssen, das geht auf keinen Fall alleine. Denn dazu brauch ich einen anderen Mund.
It's neither pure pop music nor what I do with my repertoire. In a way, it's a continuation of the original 1920s and 30s songs, which are my great love.
Max Raabe worked on the album together with Annette Humpe, one of the most influential musicians in Germany. She and her band Ideal pioneered the so-called Neue Deutsche Welle in the 80s.
The words, "You can't kiss alone," struck me out of the blue one day. It was a lovely thought, and so true. And I wondered who could sing it. I thought of Max. It just seemed like his style.
They worked on the new album throughout last summer. Annette Humpe produced the album. They wrote the songs together.
We were hanging out in the studio in slippers and shorts. And between coffee breaks and going swimming, we recorded the song. And that same simplicity is reflected in the album as well.
Unbedarftheit, die spiegelt sich da wider.
Max Raabe was born in 1962 in a small town in western Germany. At the age of 20, he moved to Berlin to study music. In 1986, he got together with friends to found the Palastorchester, which performed songs in the style of the 1920s and 30s.
Popular music and serious music can be done badly, or it can be done well. If you take popular music seriously, like one does a Schubert song, then it works fine.
Funktioniert das. Wegen dir bin ich hier.
Starting in February, Max Raabe and the Palastorchester will be performing live all over the world as part of a tour to introduce their new album. The tour will include concerts in Europe, Asia, the US, and Israel.
Wir sind drin.
The exciting part is that we will play our original repertoire on this tour, made more interesting by adding the songs created for the new album. It's sort of a continuation of our mission so far.
Das ist sozusagen eine Fortführung unserer Mission, die wir bisher hatten.
Max Raabe's new video depicts a puppet frog in search of a kiss. Fairy tale-like and definitely different. A little like Max Raabe's new album.
Küssen geht auf keinen Fall alleine, denn dazu brauch ich einen anderen Mund.
The man's got style, so's the frog. That's all we've got time for, so thanks for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.